Hello, Alan. It's me, Alan. Don't forget to move the pork chops from the freezer into the refrigerator.
How long have you been watching that Family Guy episode?
If you don't, I will be very disappointed. Goodbye.
Disappointed.
It's like a mixture of 9 different things.
I feel like I've seen a little bit of Hook, and I see a little bit of Harry Potter.
No.
Wait. Are we? Wait, we're supposed to do something else.
Your mom, I'm done.
I think we actually were playing the wrong song, guys.
Yeah.
Shit.
Welcome to Season 3 of 3.5 Gentlemen, the podcast, where 3 of the 4 hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, and one who tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, I just emerged from a glass globe, traveling through time, and I have co-hosts, Jeremiah.
Get to the job. Oh, I'm sorry. What up, yo?
Eddie.
Come with me if you want to live.
And Brandon.
What day is it? 12th May.
What year? What year?
Thursday. What the fuck kind of dialogue is that?
I'll be back, motherfucker. Okay?
Oh, you've been terminated, motherfucker.
This season, we're shaking things up a bit. We decided that each host will pick a film from each decade, from the 70s to today, that exemplifies that time period. Some of the films will be underrated, some will be classics, while others will be overrated piles of cinematic crap. To finish off each decade, the host will have a group pick that is sure to delight. As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through the film we've just watched? At the end of the podcast, we'll rate the movie based on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 is the perfect film that you can watch stone cold sober, and 5 is the type of film that forces you to betray your best friend and hook up with his mother to save the human race.
Oh, it's all about Stacy's mom.
In the past. Oh, that's great.
In the
Great
past.
song. Great
In
song.
addition to our review, we always pair our selection with a cocktail that we hope will enhance the viewing experience. This season, we want to focus a little more on the cocktail, so please feel free to shake, stir, or mix the cocktail that we've chosen and settle in for what we hope will be an engaging review. With that, Brandon, what do we have coming through time at us this evening?
Well, tonight we have our first film from the decade of the 80s. The 80s. James Cameron's 1984 classic, The Terminator. This film is rated... You didn't fix that since last time, did you? Yeah, it's rated an 8.0 on IMDb and has a critic score of 100%. And an audience score of 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. And The Terminator is a character, is ranked 22nd on AFI's greatest
villains of all time.
Greatest movie villains of all time. What we have is a human soldier who is sent from 2029 to 1984 to stop an almost indestructible cyborg killing machine. Sent that same year, which has been programmed to execute a young woman whose unborn son is the key to humanity's future salvation. However, spoiler alert and plot twist, it's actually the baby mama daddy who is actually the one sent back in time.
You are the father.
It's like
no weakest link there.
John Connor says, Kyle Reese, John Connor, I am your father.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Okay, Jer, what we got?
Before we get into our drink selection, we need to talk about whose film this is, and additionally, what our initial impressions of this movie were before sitting down to watch it. Since this was Sean's film, he should go first and explain why he has such a metal thing about Terminator.
So this is a film I grew up with. I think Terminator is one of the underrated heroes of what an action movie is supposed to be. Number one. Number two, I think the story was freaking phenomenal. And I remember watching this as a kid, just wanting the metal beneath my skin. Like this was like the thing I wanted to be, indestructible.
Everyone's looking at Sean like the metal.
Yeah, no, I really wanted to be the Terminator. I didn't give a real shit about Kyle Reese until I got older.
Bro.
Anyway, so I was super excited about this. Number one, because it was the 80s, and this film is such an 80s film.
It is an 80s
Secondly, because Brandon had never seen it, and I was super excited
Hairspray.
to share it with him. And third, because Terminator Dark Fate was coming out when we talked about this, and I think that would be kind of, it's a good ending to the trilogy.
Thank you for doing this.
Yes.
with me.
Eddie, go ahead.
What my first impression of this movie? I instantly, when I was watching this movie recently, I was just like, is this the one with John Connor in it? Is this the one with the motorcycle? I was like, nope, that's part 2. Damn it. So I naturally, I've been attached to part 2. But this movie, I felt like it needed to be watched again because there's so much. I mean, last time I watched this, I was 8, 9, around there. So it was just like I didn't give nowhere enough credit to how it is now. Watching it now in my eyes, this was ahead of its time. Like honestly,
you watching with your chin?
how do you watch movies, Brandon?
With my eyes.
Okay, then what's wrong here? What are we having a discussion with? Okay, so
Jeremiah, what did you think?
so I wasn't done yet.
Sorry.
I wasn't done yet. Okay,
Wait for your conclusion.
all right.
This is amazing.
I have very high expectations of this movie when I was going into it. I was thinking like, if part 2 is dope, part 1 had to be a little dope. Jeremiah,
That's great.
you're last, Brandon.
Just like my brother, how I got introduced by Terminator was Terminator 2. Terminator 2 was like the summer blockbuster of all blockbusters, and it just introduced me to that whole world, and I wanted to be a part of it. I've always remembered seeing Terminator as like, when you go to like Blockbuster and you see like the title, poster, and you're like, fuck, that looks badass and everything, but I never got it. Then you watch it, because I remember my best friend Eric at the time, he was always about Terminator, and I was always about P2. He was always about that, dude. And then I remember seeing it, I was like, oh, shit, this is scary, yo. And then that's how I got introduced to Terminator, yo.
Brandon, round us out.
So I had always, and I mean always, wanted to see Terminator. I'd always wanted to see T2. Have not seen either of those up until this point in my life. Still haven't seen T2. Am deathly excited to see T2. That being said, last night I sat down for what I thought would be an engaging watch. And let me just tell you, we have this underwhelming and overwhelming. What do we say?
Underrated.
Underrated
Yeah.
and overrated. And I can tell you,
He's
without
just rated.
spoiling shit, this is as fucking overrated as a movie can possibly be. We will talk about it. I will get yelled at. Eddie will go ahead and jump on me. It'll become Halloween 2, which, by the way, shout out to making that our number 1 podcast listen, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all that.
we
I
made-
really am so happy, and I will literally be the bitch boy. Every single one, if it means that we're getting viewers and listeners. So, hey,
we made fireworks.
keep the hate coming, Ed.
Eddie, take us through the
Keep
cocktail.
the hate coming.
Crap, I'm not ready for my part, even though it never changes. As we mentioned earlier, with each movie, we try to pair the tone, feel, and overall impact of the story with a cocktail. This season, we really want to discuss the cocktail and more and how it links up to the movie selection.
Which I don't think we really have.
Everyone
have.
who listens knows that when we finally watch the Bond movie, we pair it with a vodka martini, shaken not stirred with a lemon peel. But tonight's cocktail was chosen by Sean. So, Sean, tell us about it.
So tonight we have the Terminator shot. It's equal parts Jägermeister and Southern Comfort. And I will tell you, I have not had Southern Comfort until a very horrible experience on 4th of July
We call it SoCo.
in Hawaii. Anyway, this cocktail will terminate your night prematurely. And like this film, it embraces a
Prematurely?
cyborg killing machine that never stops, much like the hangover that we're going to have tomorrow from this drink.
Do you smell it?
I have not yet. So
Go,
here we
just
go.
Smell it.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Clink.
Oh, it
That's not-
smells horrid.
That's not good. Okay, here we go.
Smells
Are
like
we shooting it or are you just going to lick it?
I need a
Not lick it. What am I
I
talking
need
about?
a chaser.
Wait, am I going to drink this as a shot, or am I going to just...
I sipped it, and you know what? It's actually not bad.
Holy God. Oh, my God. It smells awful.
It's Jaeger and Southern Comfort.
Oh, wow.
It's actually
The
kinda
Jaeger
good.
comes through really good. I was not expecting that. Is it
It's
cotton
black
candy or
licorice.
whatever?
It's black licorice.
Black licorice anise. Yeah, it's black licorice.
Yeah, no. It's good. It's good.
It's good. I actually so I'm
not
gonna say
Being warm, it would be horrible.
oh
Being warm.
yeah, it's
has to be chilled.
And I will say that I was very hesitant to do this, but I think that this is this is actually one of the better ones.
This is absolutely
Jeremy
one of the
has not said anything.
He's twitching his eyes.
Oh, it's because it doesn't have Pabst.
Look at his eyes.
Burn.
You got to finish it, buddy. You got to finish it.
I don't think I'm just a Jägermeister fan, man. That's what it is, man. It's just, you guys are just so fucking hardcore Project X fucking ways, man.
Whoop.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's good.
It's Jaeger.
It's Jaeger. Jaeger's delicious.
It's
I'm gonna go ahead and go.
To be honest, Jaeger's Deer Blood.
That was our
right?
best one in
I was
2
always told
seasons.
Jaeger's Deer Blood.
That's easily our best
Jaeger's
one in
Deer
2
Blood?
seasons.
Is Jaeger's Deer Blood, right?
What the fuck?
No, Jaeger's not deer blood.
It's
I'm playing.
It's a
That was,
freaking-
that was a joke, guys.
I was like, oh, it's dragon blood. I
Hey,
mean,
But we would happily
let me just go ahead and-
accept a
oh yeah, Jägermeister.
an advertisement
yes.
for Jägermeister.
I
Okay.
absolutely love Jaeger. Listen, I'm going to say it. That was really tasty.
Yeah, it was. Let's get into the review. So one of the things about a Terminator movie is that the structure is always pretty similar. Is you have the first scene in the future.
Yo, so this happens in 2029. Are you ready for a nuclear future Holocaust anytime
Yes,
soon?
I am
What the
absolutely.
fuck?
1,000.
Am I
I
the
will
only
embrace
person
it.
rooting for this? Like, let's go. Let's go. Let's blow it up and start over.
I'm going to say it.
So you're like Skynet, just like
If
not-
Skynet was available
so
right now, I would
Skynet
give
out,
them the
dude.
code. Like, let's go.
Skynet.
Let's go.
well, how much money do I need to put?
Speaking of Skynet, I was so disappointed because I knew about Skynet because I know
It's
I know
Skynet's
movies.
not in
It's
this
Skynet's
movie.
not even in the movie. I'm like, mention Skynet. I just need to watch Terminator 2.
Okay, so let's start by
Judgment
talking a little
Day.
bit about the design of the Terminator because we get kind of a really great
Guy is
introduction.
freaking buff.
No, I'm talking
Oh.
about the skeletal Terminator.
Yeah,
The
Arnold.
metal.
He's
No.
No,
freaking
the
buff.
metal
He's
Terminator.
talking about the costume, the design of the Terminator.
That's literally at the end of the movie. Why would we do that?
It is at the end of the movie, by the way.
It literally
you
is.
Never,
After
you don't
he's-
see the Terminator.
Did you not watch this movie?
No, I did watch this movie, and the movie starts with a Terminator crushing a skull.
No, it is literally a tank.
The tank.
Oh my
crushing-
god!
It's a
I
tank.
watched them both. That's the second one.
second
I'm
one is-
sorry.
Well, I don't need to watch
literally
the second one
I
now.
wanted a Terminator
So-
watching. That was a big
So
mistake.
this movie starts with a big Tonka toy that just rolls
Yes.
over.
rolls over a skull. That's
I imagine.
Hey,
one of-
were you saying where the jaw was?
I imagine one of my kids' toys is like, I have that same like remote control.
It really
car.
did look like that. You know why?
But okay,
'Cause
it did
was.
have the hovercrafts, and it did have the
laser beams.
laser beams, and the fighting. Yeah. All right, sorry about that.
So, well, we could edit that out, or we could just let
No,
that.
we'll just
we can,
let-
no, we
That
can let that
was-
slide
that-
because
that
then it
was
looks like
pure
Sean
heart
doesn't know
right
what the hell he's talking about.
We all looked at you like,
Well, what's really funny? So
Yeah, I was like,
I
I
watched-
saw the fucking movie.
did I
bro.
watch the right movie?
I got home on Sunday, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch Terminator. And I watched it on Monday. I was like,
Yep.
well, okay, well, I gotta watch Terminator 2. And I watched Terminator 2, and I was like, oh. I mean, Terminator 3 sucks, but I'll watch that one too. And then I watched Genesis. I literally have watched all the Terminators by this point.
You gotta understand when Sean gets into something or is about something, he actually is
Falls through.
100% committed.
And then he'll call us though, and he'll talk to us about it. And it's like, Sean, nobody cares about it so much. Please, stop.
Sean, it's a Tuesday.
Oh
I
my
feel about
gosh,
to
I
work.
don't care how many Star Trek episodes you've seen.
Can
Every
I
single
ask you
one of
something?
them.
Every single one.
Was it just me as growing up? But when you saw a movie like this, like Terminator 2, did you ever like get out of the shower and like kind of do the whole like, waking up, like standing up naked?
You're talking about like standing like kneeling down and
Yeah.
like standing up like.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever do that?
Yeah, of
Or was that
course,
just me?
of course. I
With
did
a
that-
body
I did
like
that on
mine?
Tuesday.
Nope, haven't done that one.
Kneel down, put your hand on the floor, and then just,
And then you just get this
slowly
song,
rise.
do.
I mean, I used to walk around Disneyland as a kid, and this is telling you too much, but I would move my eyes before I moved my head. Like I was a
Fuck, I
fucking
would be so
Terminator,
freaked
just
out
to creep
if I
people
saw a
out.
kid like
So this is actually about 3/4 of the way down my notes, but literally, all I wrote was Arnold's crazy eyes. ...
Well, he's a cyborg.
He
bro.
is creepy as
a machine.
Oh, I know.
So he's a good actor.
Oh, he is.
Oh, he's
He acted
good in
as
this.
governor for a while.
So what's really funny is watching Sarah Connor and her fluffy hair in 1980s, like
She was very pretty.
very
no,
pretty.
her friend's.
With the iguana.
No,
No,
what the
with
hell is
the
a fucking iguana
with-
doing in this
with the
movie?
It was
Walkman.
only for the jump scare. That's the only reason.
I know.
can
Do a
think.
cat then. Everybody does a cat. Why would you have an iguana?
I don't
Something
know.
different.
Wait, let's
I
talk
know
about
shit.
it seriously.
Halloween
like when
did
Arnold
cat.
Schwarzenegger actually gets through the
Aquanet.
Terminator gets
Okay.
time travel
Yeah.
because he's butt naked and he's like
Buff as hell.
buff as hell, and you got to
and-
see Bill Paxton.
I was gonna say, hey, that's Bill Paxton. I literally, it took me the second time him on screen. I was like,
He was.
Cameron's loved him
He
since
was the leader
beginning.
of the punks.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, how stereotypically cliche can we be with 80s punks?
Well, I mean, this movie also is very cliche. Like everything about this movie is over the top and
Where was
cliche.
that in L.A.? That was in L.A., right?
It's Griffith Park.
Griffith
yeah.
Park. Yeah.
Griffith Park.
Observatory.
Griffin, the observatory.
Griffith, yeah, the Griffith.
That's where like the punks back in
So-
the '84 used to like hang out. I guess.
I think it was a tactical move, and I don't know if it's on purpose, but for the Terminator to get put there compared to
like Midwest Alabama.
Yeah, compared
No,
compared
in the
to
future-
compared to Kyle Reese was just like it was almost like he was playing catch up. He's like, oh shoot, they sent him. I have to go run, and they just threw Kyle Reese in the alleyway of a.
Kyle Reese got the worst part of that fucking
Kyle Reese was
travel.
instantly he got chance. He got
Did
chance.
he had sex.
I love how you have to go through naked
That's kinda
too,
true.
Yeah.
which you could have gone through with clothes, but James Cameron made it so that you went through naked just so he could show off the physique.
No.
difference between Kyle Reese and
No,
Kyle
he
Reese.
did it
That's
so that
true.
we could see
Also-
Arnold's ass. And God
And
dang.
you saw
It was
the swing, I'm
amazing.
not
You
gonna
saw
lie,
the
you
swing.
saw the
Amazing.
swing.
The
Was it
schlong.
was it a nice ass?
It was a great ass.
Very firm.
I mean, he's a very attractive body.
If Arnold, if you're listening to this, bro, come on the show.
Yeah, come on the podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you.
I want to. By
Thank
the way,
you very much.
I want to throw this out there that I am very, very proud of Mr. Schwarzenegger because his speech in English has
really progressed tremendously.
He can be understood now in 1984.
It was not. Yeah, it was a little hard.
Okay,
Okay, so
With
well,
love.
I think it was an idea of like I felt like the human race they just sent somebody over just like in a rush.
No,
so they
I
threw
think
him
that
over,
he was
and he
intentional.
got thrown inside like he got thrown inside like a not an area that they knew that was
right.
safe.
It was like, and I don't think that in Terminator Land, I don't think that they know where they're going to show up. Like I literally, I don't think that there's any rhyme or reason to where they go. And I will say that the world has been built out a lot since this movie. And going back and looking at this movie and watching it, I'm like, oh, so he fixed a lot of like the questions, a lot of the mythology that surrounds Skynet, how they travel, why they travel. Like basically, the Resistance had failed, and they were sending Kyle through as like their last ditch effort. So when you say it was ill prepared, it was. They were literally like, "Oh my God, we lost! Kyle, go back."
So what's interesting about this is that if you get into like philosophy, you get the grandfather paradox, which I don't know if you know that one, but it's the idea that if
Why don't you educate us?
I will educate you on this because that's
As long
all
as
I
there's
can
no
think
Latin,
about.
I'm
no.
in.
Yeah. Make
Because
it
all
quick,
I can
though.
think of with this, and that is the paradox, right? The philosophical paradox, which is saying that if you were to go back in time and kill your grandfather, could you have gone back in time to kill your grandfather? Because then you wouldn't have existed, right? And it's the exact same concept with this.
No,
so
false.
it's this idea. No.
You go
So
back
it's
in
this
time to
idea.
make love and
So
have
well,
a
that's the
son.
thing is that
no,
that
Kyle had to be sent back in order for John
Exactly.
to be the leader of the Resistance.
Exactly. And so what is interesting then is so the machines go through in order to have this happen with the knowledge that them sending a cyborg back in time would cause Kyle Reese to go back in time to have then sex with
So
Linda Hamilton.
I don't think
You see what I'm saying? So it's this really interesting philosophical, and I'm saying this in a positive, that this movie presents the grandfather paradox in a really interesting way, and it's kudos to this movie for sure.
And Terminator 3 has a lot of horrible things about it, and I'm not going to go into all these other movies, in the franchise. But one of the things that's interesting about that one is that he comes back saying that he's going to basically save the world from Skynet, which they did in number 2. And he lets Judgment Day happen because it has to happen in order for the world to progress. And it's a totally like exactly what you're saying.
That was like the best part of that movie, by the way. When
For sure.
Yeah, I remember that. I
Right.
was like, oh, it makes sense.
Yes.
Well,
so
yeah.
I was thinking though, you said the Resistance lost, but that's the Terminator got sent back first to kill Sarah Connor, so the Resistance won.
The Resistance was losing.
So it was like there was no clear winner or loser. The Skynet was just like, hey, let's just send somebody back and just kill this off right now.
I think that Skynet was
Just the Resistance sent somebody back, sent it. So you think about it, Terminator got sent back first because they were losing.
I think
No, they were
I
winning.
think the Resistance found out that they sent a Terminator, and John Connor then realized that he had to send someone back to defend his mom.
I see. I was always under assumption that it was they found a way to actually defeat, Skynet.
That's what I thought too.
And so that's why the Terminator
The last effort was from the Skynet saying, send back the Terminator.
exactly to kill so they won't win.
That's what I thought too.
So, okay. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. To me, the brilliance of this movie is not about the setup, it's about the payoff. So I've always focused on Kyle falling in love and not realizing that he actually is the father.
Who created this story? Because
James
this,
Cameron.
James
This
Cameron
is
wrote.
amazing to write just out of the blue in the 80s. Like, this is pretty intensive, really out there with his head. Like, who would have thought about this? At
He
this
actually
time?
thought about this because he had like some type of like a fever nightmare dream, and I read this is like he dreamt something like a metal death figure coming out of a fire, and that's how he got like the premise of like Terminator.
Brandon, what did you say? You said
This was actually based off of
Twilight Zone,
Harlan
actually.
Ellison, who's a prolifically important science fiction writer, had written two episodes, 2 teleplays for Twilight Zone, and actually sued James Cameron and the Terminator franchise because of the comparison or the similarity to his Twilight Zone episodes. And if you look, the first credits at the end of the movie is a special thanks to Harlan Ellison, which I read James Cameron did not want to put in because he didn't want to admit the fact that he basically stole some thoughts.
But I mean, everything is stolen from everything at this point.
Well,
which,
to be fair,
You
everything's
watch
stolen
something, you
from
have
So
Shakespeare.
he was
yeah,
probably,
it's all. I mean,
all Shakespeare.
there's only a couple ways to tell a story at this point.
Or is there?
Or is there?
Stay tuned.
the story of us right now. If you think about it.
So
Hey,
go ahead. Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I just want to get into like the story, especially like how cool is like the hero is Kyle Reese, who's not like really the muscle like freaking buff guy. He's just like this ordinary guy, but dude, he is an action hero, man. Michael Biehn owns this movie, dude.
Love Michael Biehn. He came in like he was in Aliens.
Yeah, he was Corporal Hicks, man.
Whoa, like he threw out some good movies at some time in his career. I thought this guy, it was a good actor for the part. I personally feel like I know Brandon is not liking this, but I feel like you're in the 80s here, okay? Like what are you expecting?
We just did The Godfather 2 weeks ago,
But
which
you
is
can't-
phenomenal. No, I can because that was literally.
Did you want
12
Brando?
years
You want
before. I want acting.
you want Brando in this part?
You know what I saw?
You want
I saw,
Brando?
You know what I saw? I saw junior
Come with
high
me on the live. I'll make you an
junior
offer you
high
can't
school
refuse.
quality acting
How do you-
up on screen. I'm sorry, but literally these are 3 of the worst acting performances I've ever seen. Now, Schwarzenegger, I totally get that you have been learning the language and you've gotten so good at it. I'm a
you'll be-
huge
yeah,
fan
that's
of
why.
you. Huge fan of you. But literally, come on. If you're going to separate your heart from it, I agree. The story is kick-ass. The story is phenomenal. I am so on board with the story. But the presentation is pathetic.
See, and
The presentation, and what I mean by the presentation, I really mean the actors and the characters. There's no real character development. I mean, the acting, and I do think it's because of the acting. Like, the acting's terrible.
So I would agree with you that there's no character development because there's the intent of the story is not to develop the characters. The intent of
Every
the story
needs to have some form of character development, in
So,
some form.
Let me just tell you, that's why number 2 is so much better, is because number 2, you actually learn what Sarah Connor becomes and her son John. You get to know him, and there's much more personality. This movie was about. It all took place over 24 hours?
But
like
the quality of a
probably
movie,
36 hours.
The quality of a movie cannot depend on the movies that come after it. That's not how we
I understand
should
that.
be rating
and
this.
I understand that. What I'm saying is that this movie was not about developing the characters. It was about developing the story and the world. And the world and the story are phenomenal. The fact that Michael Biehn might have overacted his part slightly, and the fact that Linda Hamilton was kind of ditzy and different and weird. I get that you don't like the portrayals of the characters, but
yeah.
they are very stereotypical 80s characters. They're very stereotypical 80s movie
If
characters.
you're gonna look at that too, look at Star Wars 1 just by itself.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
Harrison Ford? Oh my God.
Darth Vader.
We're
Luke Hamill,
going
you want
there?
character-
We're really going there.
You want character development.
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill?
We're Mark Hamill.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have all these characters
No,
that
no, he
you
was
know.
great.
Oh, watch your freaking mouth with Alec Guinness.
See, you know them
You
about
bastard.
the whole history.
I'm just
Overall, just one movie. Character development.
I love
Was there enough
episode
in one
4.
movie?
I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying to you.
You know damn well there is.
All I'm saying.
I thought
Brandon,
that we were Star Wars friends.
Brandon,
are, but
that
I'm just
can't.
saying, I'm telling
Bullshit.
you.
You say that can't. You can't look at story as the only factor of rating a movie. You also can't look at acting as the only.
Oh, I agree, and that's
Factor.
why. And my score is going to indicate that. But to me, for this to be considered such an important film, and to me, this is also it really is jumping into the same realm as Die Hard, where the acting for Bruce Willis in that film, and the acting for really the 3, but I'll pin it down to the 2 with Michael Biehn and then Linda Hamilton. It was so bad that it took me out of the moment, which
what's-
they had created so beautifully. They
What's
really
weird-
did.
What's weird to me about all of this that you're talking about is that these characters that are created by these actors that you don't think have done a good job are iconic. John McClane is an iconic fucking character
Understood.
that is beloved by millions
And
of
it's
people.
because people
the
watch-
Terminator is a iconic villain that is loved by millions of people. Sarah Connor is the female empowerment
Oh
of
no,
strength.
Ripley is.
Okay.
Come on, we talked
Well,
about that a
it's
couple
the
weeks
same
ago.
director, same writer, and everything like that. But I agree with you with Sean. You know, like you have these characters that are developed here in this particular movie. Like it's the first movie when you think about it. It's not going to be the greatest thing. It is what it is.
But when it's
an
made,
80s
it wasn't
product.
thought to be a sequel. It's not like
It's also a schlock film. It's not.
When you think about it, it's a B-rated movie.
It's totally a B movie.
And
Here's
it's the
the
biggest
problem,
movie
though.
that
We're
Michael
supporting-
Biehn has ever done.
But we're
up until this
supporting
time.
poor acting by a kick-ass story. I'm saying there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. I
I
will be the first, or at least I'll be the fourth, to admit that this story is amazing. I love the story, and I knew the story going in. Right, I knew that it was about time travel. I knew that it was about a robot going back to kill somebody before they conceived a child that would lead a rebellion and a resistance. I mean, that to me is amazing. On paper, it's great.
And I understand where
On screen,
you're
it's
going,
not.
but understand the other side of this, which is in order to make this movie functional in Hollywood, not 100, but let's say the majority of the money went to special effects, went to developing technology that would change film forever. It didn't go to paying Meryl Streep to be Sarah Connor. And I know you're shaking
But
your
you
head. I
can
know.
find other
no,
actors,
I understand
because these weren't the only actors
I understand.
who
I understand what you're
tried out
saying.
for the-
All I'm saying is
auditioned.
you're also looking at a director who notoriously has bad acting in his movies. James Cameron
Are
notorious.
you kidding me?
Yes.
Bill fucking
Alien-
Paxton
yes,
in
Bill Paxton.
Titanic?
Hey, wait. You guys are always knocking on Bill Paxton.
He's terrible.
Bill
I love
Paxton
him.
is a fucking
I love
treasure.
him.
He's a fucking treasure.
Listen,
I
yo.
love him.
I love Bill Paxton,
love
but let's
him.
not pretend he's
He is
he's like the greatest actor.
I'm not saying he's the greatest actor, but he's a fucking treasure,
But
yo.
he's got a goddamn. What was it?
A fin, yeah, whatever you want.
He got like a tire
Mohawk.
mark. He got
Pumping
like
a
a
mohawk.
tire
He's
mark, like
literally-
tattoo on his face. I love
Let me
it.
just tell you, the acting that I saw from Bill Paxton in this movie is the same acting I saw in Tombstone.
Hey, I don't mean to cheat the
Okay,
subject,
I'm
but
just saying.
honestly,
Michael Biehn
like
was in the Mandalorian.
He was also in Tombstone.
Michael
And The
Biehn
Rock.
was in The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
he
he
was the
was-
Oh,
gunslinger.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
in The Rock. God, that's a great movie. We should do that movie.
So Michael Biehn he became a good actor.
Yeah, well, Michael Biehn is a good actor. The problem with Michael Biehn, and this
maybe
is
it's
no
the writing,
offense
too.
to Michael Biehn, is that his
I love you, Michael
looks
Biehn.
were not significant enough to get him leading roles.
Right.
And he was not good enough of an actor to be a supporting actor.
And maybe my problem,
in the
too-
same way like Gary Oldman is. So
Right.
uh,
My
yeah.
frustration might also be not necessarily the acting, but also the writing, the dialogue. You know,
Once again, it's 80s, and I keep
know, but we
harking
can't-
back to
we
that. But
can't
look at
just
Predator.
use
Look
that.
at all these movies. No, we can, because this movie was about fast cuts, action, big. This was
but
the
we
type
can't
of movie.
excuse poor quality
Did
for
Linda
just.
Hamilton do anything
Brandon,
besides Terminator?
Brandon, I think this. I think I have an idea what it
Dante's
is with
Peak.
with why you didn't like this movie, and it's not like an action movie or something like that. In the end of the day, this is a fucking like a serial killer slasher film. It's a horror film. It's
but I didn't
But
do-
the thing is, like, going back to Halloween. I know that it's a touchy subject,
That's, you can't
but
do that.
Terminator and Halloween
look at you,
have the
Brandon.
same kind of like little background with it.
It's true. The acting's terrible.
Oh, I don't. I
Okay,
actually,
but
that's it.
you think the acting is terrible, and I understand that. But that shouldn't be enough to disqualify a movie. Or
I want you to
change your whole
admit that it's
perception.
bad acting.
I'm not going to say it's great acting. No, hell no.
I
It's,
want to hear the words bad. And
all
then we
right.
can move
Well,
on.
I think a lot of movies have bad acting.
Anyway, so I will just tell you, because I do want to talk about something Jeremiah said, and I actually thought of it as a positive. And I said, when he blows away the gun shop owner, and let's just say R.I.P. Gremlin's dad.
Oh yeah, it was.
Pour one out for him. But then also the killing of the first Sarah, like, I mean, even though we don't see it, like, that's freaking hardcore. And I loved it because it was something that to me was definitely pushing against some of the zeitgeist of the time.
Oh, he knocks on the door and
Then
just,
yeah, and he literally just
Are
blows
you
some
Sarah
lady
Connor?
away.
So,
Yeah.
and that's another plot device that I think is absolutely
Yes.
brilliant. Is that Skynet sends back? They're technologically brilliant, right? They're literally computers, and they don't know what fucking Sarah Connor to kill. Like, that to me is so
they didn't
cool.
recognize,
right?
Because it's like, hey, 20 people have the same name,
Right.
They didn't know that. How would you know that?
I just
and
think
I
it's
thought it was-
super interesting.
and I thought it was great
Computers
that they
have
set
each have
up-
their own serial number,
Right.
So everyone is its own different person,
Yeah.
different.
No, I thought it was great to set this up as like, this is not a movie that's going to hold any or pull any punches or hold anything back, and I love that about it.
All right, we're gonna take a little break, get another cocktail, and we'll be back.
Come with me, you want to live.
Just on a side note, you know that this is an 80s movie when this film is actually produced by Orion Pictures.
Yeah.
When you fucking saw the Orion logo, I'm like, oh shit, this is every 80s movie that I ever watched.
Orion, and like that. It's that synthesizing. It's like, yeah, we know this is an '80s movie.
Literally synth music! Exclamation point!
All right, so we were talking about how
I love
it
how
was kind of like a scary movie, it
Yeah.
was a thriller.
I didn't feel like it was that though, but I see what you guys are saying, but I didn't get the feeling of that. I took it almost it's bad to say, a little bit of a comedy at points. It made me laugh.
Oh, with like he keeps getting the wrong Sarah Connor.
Yeah. And then like he went up to the
Oh,
punch,
that person got killed.
and he showed up naked. It was just like little parts that made me chuckle a little bit, you know. I don't know.
And I think it was more intimidating when you watched it initially in the 80s than it is today, because so much has happened since then. Because like even I'm watching it and I'm looking at the some of the scenes where his face starts coming apart or he's doing the surgery on his eye, and I'm like, this is really cool. This is really bad today. Like it's like I could see the mask at times. Like I could see how bad
the
it
face
is.
looks. And luckily, they put the glasses on because the face and the mask really looks
his makeup
dated.
was coming off.
See,
I don't know if
the-
it was
yeah.
makeup
The sunglasses is pretty iconic with
Yeah.
like Terminator. Like when you think of
with
Terminator,
the eye, the red eye.
But you see this like the sunglasses.
And it's supposed to be a little corny. Like it's supposed to be a little tongue in cheek. That's vintage James Cameron at this time in his career. All he was doing was kind of like Aliens is the same theme. It's the same tone. It's fun, loud, big movies. They're not these super dramas. They're not supposed to be serious, realistic movies. They're supposed to be big, bold, big, bold experiences.
So yes or no? In Terminator 2, it's Arnold who says, "Come with me if you want to live."
Well, Arnold basically becomes the good Terminator.
Kyle Reese
Right.
said it first. In
Right,
Reese
because
said
I was
yeah.
waiting for him to say it.
No,
But obviously,
no.
I knew it didn't come because I know he's not coming if you want to live.
Terminator
Right.
took
But it was
from
just so
Kyle
weird to
Reese.
hear it not with the accent.
And it's
Yeah.
really cool when you see in Terminator 2, not to spoil it, but when he tells that to her, Sarah Connor, you're like, she's freaking out, like, I can't believe you fucking just said that.
Yeah, because initially, I mean, this movie has made her terrified of Terminators.
She
right?
knows it's bound
So
to come.
imagine,
It's
yeah, so
coming.
Imagine you now have a child, and
And he shows up.
he shows up, and you want to fucking kill him because it was hard
he's
enough
not
to
the-
kill the first one.
T1000.
Right.
He's the T800.
Yeah,
I like how seriously, like, both, like, how Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Biehn, like, they get, like, all brought into time travel naked, and they get dressed up, and they all look like cool 80 hipster fucking people, dude.
I thought
They were so
Like,
cool looking,
the
dude.
trench coat,
his
the Jordan,
Nike
like-
kicks were like
When
the
did
shit.
he get that undershirt though?
So
Anybody
he,
else?
so he was in the department store.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where he got it. He got all his clothes from the department
also
store.
you realize
Not the undershirt. He came out naked with only the trench coat, and then all
and
of a
he
sudden,
put all the
next
clothes.
shot.
Yeah, he put all the clothes on in the department store.
Oh, did you guys see that zoom in
there
on
was
the
a homeless.
Nike?
Yeah.
There was a
And
homeless
the-
person.
the Velcro Nike?
Product placement.
Oh my God!
There was
I like,
a
that was
homeless
great.
person he took some clothes from.
Right.
Yeah,
jacket, I
the
think.
pants. The
He
pants.
took my
He
pants.
took my pants.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't know if I know. I probably missaw it, but I thought that the homeless guy was still wearing pants.
Yeah.
It was Long John's.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
homeless.
Well,
You-
it's
we don't
cold
have-
in Griffith Park.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, who is the best character in the Terminator franchise?
I mean, it has to be the Terminator
Well, or Sarah Connor.
because he played the bad guy the first movie and then
Christian
the
Bale.
good guy. I
No.
don't want to ruin it. Anything,
He was John
but
Connor.
He's the good guy.
I
in
don't know.
part-
Eddie Furlong was pretty good too.
Eddie was
yeah.
fucking dope.
But let's get back. So let's get back to this. We've got kind of, I think, three major moves in this movie. You've got the initial chase where Sarah and Kyle are kind of together being chased by the Terminator. Then she gets to the police precinct. Then you have the battle at the police precinct.
The battle,
where-
the massacre.
Yeah. Then she realizes that her only hope is Kyle, and then they finish off the movie.
I like the
together.
first battle sequence or the battle, like the first confrontation in the Technor fucking club, the 80s club.
Right.
And it's pretty cool when everything's slow motion. You're just like, you hear that kind of, the best part of the score. I'm not really a big fan of the score, but when you hear dun, 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 and it's very slow motion and you
Yeah.
see like
him walking up to her.
Yeah.
behind her bat's facing to him.
And I like her roommate and her boyfriend are just like
Very
going
Halloween.
at it.
Right
Very
to me.
Well, it's very James Cameron. To me, it's this movie just you can see James Cameron.
That boyfriend went toe to toe with the Terminator. I was actually
He was a pretty
surprised.
cool
that
guy,
he
man.
was-
He just, it's hard to fight a machine guy with their speedos on.
Is anybody else? I mean,
those were very
and this is
tight.
just an inappropriate. I'm going to ask an inappropriate question.
Here you are.
But when she made food and got milk,
Dude, did you
With-
see that
with the
fucking
sandwich?
sandwich?
coitus, like what?
Because that is to me the stereotype cliche that you do one of two things after sex: you smoke a cigarette, or
Or
you
you make
go
yourself
and make
a
yourself
big
some
fucking
food.
sandwich.
Which I got to be honest, my experience is no.
You don't go rushing to the refrigerator.
So you never come out like having sex and like listening to your Walkman and just like banging your head. You know?
Did you see that they were having sex with the Walkman in? I was like, what
And
the hell?
Yeah, I mean, once again, product placement.
Product
Did you hear the song? It was like intimacy. Intimacy.
I do want to ask. I do have a question for you guys. But I do want to ask. Why did it take Kyle so long for him to approach Sarah? Like he says that he was waiting for the Terminator to show up, but like
They come in all forms.
why?
He said.
And he knows.
Well,
Yeah, but he knows
I'm
exactly.
going to be truthful. He was using her as bait to try and draw out the Terminator.
Yeah, he didn't want to show himself to the Terminator.
He was waiting for it.
Interesting.
Man.
Okay, I see it now.
Yeah. So
I
the
can
other
buy
side
that.
of it is that I think that she wouldn't have believed him unless she saw
I would agree with that.
the Terminator. So it's multiple layered.
Yeah, to me it was frustrating because
Multi-layered.
here's what bothered me. So he's
Here's
there.
what bothered you.
Here's
the
what
movie.
bothered me. I'm trying really hard to not talk about the acting until the rating. Okay, so he's there and he's there to protect her, and he knows that this is kind of time sensitive, and like there's somebody there trying to find Sarah Connor and kill her, and he goes and takes a nap in the car. Right, which we get this flashback, which is a great thing to give us the background
He
story
didn't
of
take a
like
nap in
what
the car.
he
passed
took a
out
nap.
from being
Yeah.
exhausted.
I think he passed out from exhaustion, truth be told.
You know what you can't do though? Be exhausted when you're trying to save a life in the past.
Well, I mean, the other side of
You
this,
see what I'm saying?
I agree with you, but the other side of this is that James Cameron is an opportunistic director, and I'll say it a million times. His style is let's get it done. Let's not worry about the details. He wants to get from scene to scene. He wants to show you the story.
He's more of a visual director more than anything.
Yeah, it's not for him. It's not about developing, inner logical characters that coalesce. Titanic was very much like that, but he was 50 when he did Titanic. 40.
God, I love the Titanic.
Did
We
anyone-
should do that one too.
Did anyone feel pretty pissed off of the? I don't think he was a detective, but he.
Oh
was
yeah, when he died.
well,
he pissed me
I
off.
feel like he knew he had this feeling. He had this vibes of like, well, maybe she's really honest here.
I actually thought he was a really good
He
police
was a
officer.
great character.
And a
he was
great
a great
character.
Yeah.
well acted.
But it was
thought they did
the
the-
well
I
acted.
thought they did a good
therapist
job.
though. The therapist.
Oh.
like,
Therapist is a piece of shit.
Oh my
was so
God,
upset
he
with
was-
He's
that.
actually in all three.
Dude,
Did you really?
Who is?
it's
The
so good.
therapist.
It's so
Is
good
he
to go
really?
back
Yeah.
to this. It's so good to go back to this and see the therapist because he's a really like big, part of part
Is
two.
he really?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because you see this whole situation. He's like, "Fuck, he
That's
missed
so
out."
funny. I wanted him to die so bad, but then he gets out
walks
just when the
out.
Terminator
Well, and
comes in.
in Terminator 3, he's like an older guy, and he finally sees. I think he finally sees it in number 3, and he's like, "Oh my God, she was telling the truth."
This whole time.
So, so I think we also need to focus a little bit on the special effects and the acting with regard to Arnold and the cyborgness of him. I think that for someone who, I mean, I know that you don't like the acting, I get that, but he really embraced and tried really hard to embody this cybernetic being. And I know that sounds dumb, but
Purposely
we just did
be like harder, like sharper, like movements.
right. We just did Alien,
Oh no, totally
right?
get it.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about the super or special effects, the scene where he's taking out the eye, to me, I mean, I don't like the whole like
Gore
operation
graphic,
stuff.
yeah.
I mean, I was squirming watching that, and that was a really quick scene. So I thought that the makeup was really well done. The glowing red eye, thought it was great. The mask looked fake, but at the same time, I will give that a buy on 1984.
And I think it looked fake in some scenes, and it looked fantastic in other scenes. It was almost like
I don't think they had that much of a budget, and so they had to just use what they had to do. But you
But I
got to
love
give
the
that
i-
out to Stan Winston.
Stan Winston.
I mean, he created he designed almost like a movie monster, man.
Right.
It stands the test of time when you think about the Terminator, the cyber machine.
and
The T-100 or
what
whatever
I
you call
thought
it.
what I thought was super engaging about the Terminator as a character is that he just didn't stop. He just kept coming, and it's the same concept with Jaws. It's the same concept with a lot of different villain characters. Where I mean, Darth Vader just kept coming. This was the quintessential. I'm just never stopping until I kill you. Like he was at the end of the movie, he's cut in half, crawling toward Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Right? I
Like,
mean,
he had some moment still left in him that he was still trying to complete the mission.
like that's his mandate.
You're talking about scripts, but I thought like the line was like he can't be bargained with, he can't be reasoned with, he doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. He and absolutely will not stop you until you're dead.
Right.
I mean, that's seriously like the most like scariest thing when something's after you and it just doesn't stop.
And I think Sarah Connor as a character, it was so fun to go back because, like everyone else, T2 is the one I remember her in. This one, she's totally not what she is
She's
in
not
T2.
in T2.
Yeah.
She's
She's
like
innocent.
yeah.
She's kind of a victim, and in this one a little bit more than unassuming. She's just she's not prepared. So and then we also have kind of the iconic "I'll be back" moment, right? So this is a movie that is defined by a line, like you're going to need a bigger boat from Jaws.
This is
I'll
when
be
he's
back.
in the police sink, right?
Right, the police precinct.
That fucking police officer.
And then he freaking drives his car into the police precinct. Like,
Dude, that shit was hardcore.
I don't remember
dude.
that. So like, it's funny now when he says, he's looking at it like the layout, right?
right.
So he's just like
analyzing it.
analyzing. So he's just like, I'll be back.
Well, and you had RoboCop come out probably
3 years later on.
Right. So, and that was like a kind, gentle version of the Terminator in some respects. And I do love me some Peter Weller. Peter Weller, if you ever want to come on the podcast, we'd be happy to have you.
Yes, please.
Peter Weller is so dope.
I
dude.
fucking love Peter
Yeah.
Weller.
So he pretty much goes ham on the police precinct,
Right.
while Kyle Reese is being locked up.
Right. So you've got you've got this kind of a change to me in tone in the movie, because it goes from like you have the discotheque scene, right, where he's trying to get her. She knows he's after her, and she thinks the best and safest place is with the police. He mows them down like like they're not even.
You know what's so
they're
crazy?
already there.
When I was little and watching this, I'm like, oh man, he's those cops. Oh, 19, 20 people. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, oh shit, that's a family member right there. Oh fuck, this is horrible.
You're like,
this is so
Oh my God,
fucking
did he just
graphic.
get married? Like,
And dude, it was like kind of scary because it reminds me of those back in the days when we used to like grow up with those LA shootouts,
Yeah.
where you're just like these men that just have these automatic weapons that tear these people apart, and you're just like seeing this, you're like, fuck, this is hardcore.
yeah. And the fact that he went in there and just destroyed like the entire LAPD basically, and then she escapes. Like,
I mean, I'm trying not to just come in and be like, come on. But there's 2 people who survive.
yeah,
I've got 30 cops.
yeah.
Well,
30 dead people, and 2 people survive, and it's the 2 of them.
All the cops went forward, and then
They snuck out.
They
the back.
snuck out the back window,
And
yo.
he just happens to pick that room that she's hiding under a desk at.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, he just like shot like the whole police station. Like, where is like the SWAT team and where's the?
I was wondering the same thing. Like, shouldn't there be a SWAT team coming up?
Kevlar vest, maybe? I don't know.
But again, this is 1980s. It's just a
And
different.
this guy
mentality.
pretty much-
I want you to remember that, Sean. From now when we do Goonies, you go. It's the 1980s.
Yeah,
I do actually.
that
Can I talk about acting in that one?
that excuse. Yes,
No.
that excuse gets you like a little bit of leeway, but that movie's a fucking train
So
wreck.
tell me,
You gotta watch your mouth. I haven't voted yet.
That's gonna be an interesting
I'm gonna watch
episode.
it.
I'm just saying, guys.
I'm gonna watch it again with open
Listen.
heart, open
I haven't
eyes.
voted yet.
the station scene, to me, that was so reminiscent of The Matrix. Right when Neo just walks in, also another great movie that we should probably think about doing at some point. But no, he just walks in and he just is like, boom.
See, and
I'm done
I
doing
guess,
it.
I guess the way that I look at this
And so-
movie is it opened the door for
It
so
opens
many
the door.
different genres, and to me, it,
I would
it
say action.
pushed cross genre. This was science fiction meets
Yeah.
action
Yeah.
meets horror.
Horror, yeah.
It was a very a cross genre movie, and you also I once again I know you don't like the acting, but this launched Arnold Schwarzenegger's career in a big way.
You put him it put him in the spotlight.
I mean, he had done Conan, and then he did a sequel to Conan after this. But this movie launched
No, it
him
did.
as this. I think I honestly will believe it launched the '80s big muscle-bound movies.
We had Stallone,
Stallone-
you
yeah,
had Schwarzenegger, you had
Wesley
everybody
Snipes,
in the Expendables.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, it launched a whole genre of movie after this.
Agreed.
So yeah,
After this, the big one he did was Aliens.
Are you talking
James
about
Cameron.
James Cameron?
And then The Abyss.
The Abyss is he did The Abyss.
oh, I forgot the Abyss. The Abyss
And
is
then
good. That's
Terminator.
another Bill Paxton,
And
baby.
then True Lies.
Oh,
No,
True Lies was so good.
Abyss is not in Bill
True
Paxton.
Lies.
True Lies is Bill Paxton.
No,
The
Abyss is Bill
The
Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Bill.
True Lies, he's not in.
Yeah, he is. He's in.
I mean this in the best way.
Not Paxton.
He's not in the movie.
yeah, in Abyss.
Oh, no,
I
I'm
promise
talking
you.
about True Lies.
Michael Bean is in The Abyss.
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris is in it.
I get Ed Harris mixed up with that was Ed
Bill
Harris.
Paxton is not in
Westworld?
the Abyss.
No,
Nope.
he is in the Titanic.
All right, so after they leave the police station, we have the hotel scene, and this is where you first get the inkling that actually Kyle Reese is John Connor's father, because they consummate their relationship.
Yeah, I was kind of
Oh,
wondering
saw that
about the
one a
whole
million
thing.
miles away.
Like, how does a sex scene get involved in this movie? I get it. It's the 80s.
He saved her life like 4 times.
Yeah,
That's the
but all of a
least that
sudden
she
you're
could
just
do.
like, my God, I just want to hook up now.
Listen, I'm going to say something that you're probably not going to like, which is a negative. At the end of the movie, she, in her beautifully pointless voiceover, says that they lived a lifetime's worth of memories. How long have they known each other?
It's not about that.
2 or 3 days.
But when
they had
it's the
sex
end of
once.
the world, when it's the end of
They
the world,
lived a
and you think you're going to
lifetime's
die.
People write songs about it. My life is brilliant. My love is pure.
It's a great song, guys.
Song
Come on.
Wait,
Angel.
what was the? Is that the movie?
Wait,
Wait, is that the song that played?
She was on a subway.
during that game where the
She was
picture
with
walked
another
by
man.
people? Right?
You're
Remember that?
beautiful.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. It was
Beautiful.
Walk on by.
So I guess.
Great song.
I guess to answer my question, her life was brilliant. Her love was pure.
You know what? I take it back. That was
solid
great. It
angel.
was a lifetime's worth.
It makes sense.
It was a lifetime's worth.
The only thing
Riding on the
that
subway.
the only thing she knew
was
was,
with another
man.
the only thing she knew was Kyle Reese was on her
Listen to that
side,
song on the way home now.
and she knew.
Well,
And it was almost like also predicted like I'm supposed to have a baby, and I know Kyle
Do you
Reese.
think
he had
realized-
no clue.
he was an idiot.
He was an
Oh, you
idiot.
think so?
Yeah, no
But
clue he was
He's
the
holding
father.
her
But
damn
she-
picture?
Yeah.
But she
My
was just
God.
like, I'm supposed to have this baby. Why not have it with you? Because you're the person who's protecting
See, I don't
me.
think she was trying to have a baby. I think that was just a happy accident.
Gotta be honest. Thought it was going to happen in the sewers, and I was like, because he's like, "I'll keep you warm." Actually, no, he didn't say it like that. He's not an Austrian.
"Ew,
So I'll keep
let
you
me,
warm.
Let me just. I'm gonna
Dirty D.
attack
You're
you
on my
for a
side?
moment.
Oh fuck! I thought
Okay.
you were going to be on my side.
So to suggest that love needs time is
Yes.
just kind of ridiculous. It doesn't. You don't know how people's hearts are going to react in a certain situation. I mean, I would hope that you could fall in love in a moment, in a glance, in a look.
a
You don't
lifetime's
need.
worth, though.
Yes,
I did.
because that's what it feels like.
I
It
fell
could be
in love
on a
with-
subway.
I fell in love with
With
the
another
She
moment.
was with another man.
I fell in
I'm
love
just
with-
saying
I
that
fell in love with the moment.
I'm saying that you can't judge a relationship based on what you went through in your relationship, because sometimes it is just a glance. I mean, I knew that I loved Natalie Portman the first time I
You
saw her in a
literally
helmet.
2 weeks ago decided
The first
that
time
you
you
were
saw
gonna
her
roll
where?
your eyes at her.
Where?
I saw her in a helmet in Garden State. Anyway, okay. So let's
Can we talk
the
about
final
how-
climax,
yeah,
right?
the climax. The
Well, how the
denouement.
robot,
chase? Which
how
chase?
he was I think he was in the factory, and they were running away from the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
There were some scenes that that really took the part. It was just like, oh, it's horrible.
Like the stop
The
motion
visual
just
effects,
The
didn't
visual
do it for
effects.
you.
I'm just like,
So,
oh
yeah.
god, the robot chasing you until you close the door and you locked the door. Like,
So to me, the look of the robot, which you opened with,
Yeah, sorry
T2,
about that.
the look of the robot, I thought was super badass. I really did. And granted, I've known it, I've seen it, even though I hadn't seen the movies. I knew that was what he looked like, and so that wasn't like oh my gosh. But I thought it was really really kick ass. But yeah, the animation, it was so bad. I would have rather they put a suit on somebody.
Yeah.
and like and granted, they tried to make it.
And he cut it in a way that kind of
Yeah, but it's so
just-
stilted. and I'm
Yeah,
like, you know,
like I said, it was hit and miss for me with the
Yeah.
special effects, because some of the special effects were really, really good. Like close-ups were really good.
Close-ups were great.
But when you actually had to have the Terminator
Moving.
it just didn't hit. However, I saw an interview with Stan Winston. He's like, on the first movie, we faked it. By
Yeah.
the time the second movie came around, he built a freaking Terminator that walked and like moved and like killed people, and it was much better. It was much
Obviously.
better.
Which with more Terminators, by the way, that was pretty cool. Now I'm just thinking about Terminator 2. Speaking of Terminator 2, didn't it kind of have like a mirror of like?
So that was a great scene where she was removing his chip in the mirror. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, I'm talking about like in the factory. It just like it almost mirrored like, hey, this is exactly what's going to kind of happen in part 2 in the factory. Like, you know, the killer's
Yeah.
chasing. It was pretty crazy. I'm like, whoa, shit. This is like,
Well,
look.
but James Cameron does love his industrial scenes. I mean, he loves chains hanging and that corrugated metal flooring. He likes the sound it makes when people run. I mean, have you seen Aliens? Half the movie is running on corrugated metal.
with steam coming out of everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Steam. I've never seen so much steam in a factory in my life. Just bursting out of corners, and then
because it's badass.
and there's always like the sounds like the pow from the distance, like pow pow pow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they finally defeat the Terminator, and I think this was one of the.
Kyle Reese died though,
Yeah, Kyle did die.
and I was
Granted,
died
he
pretty
should have
dope,
died
dude.
in the car accident, which he did die, and then all of a sudden, dude's dead. And all of a sudden, the Terminator's there, and he's like, "I can run. Let's go."
I can limp.
It's so 80s action movie.
Yeah, that one
know.
line in the movie is like, "Get up, soldier!"
On your
I'm
feet,
like,
soldier.
Oh, see, okay, but
On
that
your
one's
feet,
that one's
soldier.
used. That
That's
one's
where
used
Shauna,
again. Hold on.
Sarah, Shauna.
Stop
Sarah
touching my
Connor
foot.
realized I'm supposed to be this awesome badass person, and he told me, he's like, "All right, well, get up now, like, let's
But
go."
they
On your
use
feet,
it.
soldier.
So that, okay, I agree that was not the greatest line in this movie, but they use it again in Terminator 2, and it's
So basically, what you're saying is they just rehash the script.
no.
It's just better.
Terminator.
No,
No.
No.
Terminator 2
That's what
is a
I'm getting
different
from.
movie.
Terminator 2
We get all
is
the
probably
main
one
lines are
is
just
so
reused.
Terminator 2 is so fucking good.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's literally not even close.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's also say you're Terminated fucker.
Well, it's smile, you son of a bitch. It's the 80s, bro.
Come on, Jerry. You got to back me up on that one. It's a bad line.
You're Terminator.
I can't wait for you to see the second part where he
gonna
goes, "Hasta la vista,
Big.
baby."
And when you blow someone, you see awesome. It's great.
And that's
Okay.
and I've seen the end, right? That's when he goes in like molten lava or something, or molten,
It's a foundry
obviously,
with metal
and he does
corrugated.
this.
right? Because believe it or not, I have seen that part of
His
it.
last
too.
name was just like
Yeah,
this.
it's the thumbs up. It's good. It's a good movie.
Oh my god! Do I want
So
to
that
see it
brings
now?
us to the inner review. Now it's time in the podcast where each of the hosts provides his score on the following scale. Eddie, can you please provide?
Yes. All right. 0, the perfect movie. You don't need shit to enjoy it. 1, a feel-good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're in an Uber or lifting home. 4, a rough morning to watch a shame. 5, blacked out, shit-faced,
Can
spring
you
break
be
drunk.
happy when you read these? Ever? Are you the Terminator? Literally, are you Cyborg?
6.
There is no 6.
He's malfunctioning.
Gentlemen, let's start with
Don't do it to me.
Eddie. I'll go first. I'll get this out of the way. It's hard to grade this after some of the movies we've done. This is a movie that definitely I feel like it's worth seeing no matter what. So I feel like if I would, like, I remember parts of the movie, Noah and Jacob, both my boys, saw this movie and it stopped them dead in the tracks when when everything was hitting the fan. When shit was hitting the fan, they were like, "What's going on? Why is that guy like just chasing with like guns? Bullets firing everywhere." It's a cool action-packed movie. The acting, I agree with Brandon. It's much to be desired. I feel like there could be. I mean, it is what it is. It's an '80s movie. I think of other '80s movies, and I think of other movies we've done. It doesn't hold up the same level. But acting, it's an A+ with one person for me because he's from
Austria.
I think he did that. He did kind of good. He won me over. But everyone else is just like, they get like C's, so it balances out after the very end. But the action-packed movie part of it, I really enjoyed. There's the special effects that definitely didn't hit towards the end of the movie. I felt like you do see a buildup of, okay, this is can't just be by itself. You knew part 2 was coming. I was kind of confused with her going out to the desert for no reason, with a horse with no name. It was kind of just out there. I was kind of confusing. Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, I personally think this movie is definitely watchable. 8 out of 10 is a little high on the Internet Movie Database. I love the movie. I like part 2 better. I'm giving this a 1.75.
All right, Jeremiah.
I think it's a better than average movie.
Jeremiah, do you want me to go or do you want you to go?
No, I'll go, yo. This is the film that started it for James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it actually represents the 1980s in a lot of ways. I feel like this movie is more than a slasher film, than a science fiction film. But I think that stands away from other Termination films, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, this is no T2, and we all definitely agree that. And I'm pretty sure one of these days Brandon's going to see T2, and he's going to be on the boat. I mean, seriously.
He'll be on the T2 boat.
The T2 boat. The music doesn't vibe for me. I mean, they have like the best theme ever, but most of it was like this crazy synthesizer weird thing that just didn't like make sense to me. The script is a little thin and it's aged a little bit with the visual effects, but hands down, I think this is one of Arnold's best role next to T2 and Kindergarten Cop. I'll keep that one right there. I love Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop's magnificent.
And I also think Michael Biehn is like a badass action hero, man. I bought into it, yo. So I think Cameron was able to show hints of his being a true visionary. I mean, Cameron's vehicle, he foresaw like the rise of technology and the machines and how we all depend on it and everything like that, man. So it's no T2, but it's a pretty cool film, yo. So this is a 2.25 for me, yo.
You want me to go, Brandon?
Yes.
Okay. So I remember this film. I mean, I've seen it 1,000 times, but I remember this film kind of as part of a series, not necessarily standing on its own. So when I sat down to watch it, it was kind of in a new light because I was looking at it as a standalone movie. And the problem that I had with it is exactly what Jeremiah said. The special effects don't hold up nearly as much as T2. And now, the script is a little thin. I think it's revolutionary. I think it's wonderful. I do think that it has some drawbacks in character development and in some dialogue I don't think is particularly good, or at least it's dated. I agree with Brandon. I think the acting is subpar, except for Arnold. I think Arnold actually, like Eddie said, I think he was the perfect Terminator. That being said, I look at the impact and the legacy of the movie, and I think that does contribute significantly to how audiences feel about it. I think that people feel like this movie started a movement. It started a trend in film, and you like the things, even if they're not necessarily perfect on all counts. You like them because they bring you something extra. And this movie brought you something extra. It brought you into a world that you'd never seen before, a science fiction mixed with horror, mixed with so many different elements. And for that, I think it deserves a lot of praise. I don't think that this is a below average movie, but I think it's right on that line of average on our scale. So I'm going to go with a 2.25. I think that is kind of where it should
way
sit.
Too low then. Oh shit.
Yeah, so for me, I could not help but being completely underwhelmed. I went into this, and again, this is probably my fault, went into this with huge, high expectations, hoping for something that's just going to blow me away, because I'd always heard that T2 is way better than T1, or just the T. That said, I was so disappointed. Like last night, I had to pause it like 3 times, look over at my wife and be like, oh my God, I can't do it. And it does come a lot down to, well, it comes down to the acting. And I was explaining off mic that for me, acting doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be believable. Like into some regards. I don't care what kind of genre it is or not. I totally see what you guys are saying as far as its impact on film, but if we're talking about its impact on film as being the first horror sci-fi movie, we did Alien, right? That was a movie that I can get behind and say, okay, that's revolutionary in so many ways. Terminator to me wasn't. The only difference was instead of an alien, it was a robot. Do I think that this movie inspired a lot of other movies? Yes. Do I think that, though, it was just part of the change? Yeah, I don't think that it was the revolution that we kind of want to highlight. And for that, I can't really lift it up and say, oh, this movie is amazing because. I know that it's going to get backlash, and it probably does deserve some backlash. But for the story is fantastic. I couldn't get into the story, though, because so many things, the special effects, the acting, the pacing in a lot of ways, it just hindered it. So this one, to me, it is a rough morning. It's a walk of shame. I felt bad this morning because I had wasted a couple hours watching it. So this is a 4 for me.
Whew. All right, so when you take those scores and divide them by 4 and exclude Brandon's bullshit 4, what? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't want to add 175.
I appreciate Brandon's 4. I see his points were valid.
I do. I think his points are valid. I think it's a little aggressive.
I was going to go 3.75, but then I saw something else that I voted for 3.75, and I was like, no, this is worse.
I feel a little. I rated it too low now, personally, but I feel like overall the score
is probably where it should be. I bet it's a little bit below average, a little bit average.
It's
average.
It's at 2.5625.
Look at
2.562
5.
5 is actually Jeremiah. Where does that put us on our list?
My list might not be correct, but it looks like it puts it between Grease and Scream, actually.
No, so we've got The Hangover at 2.5, Scream at 2.65. Oh shoot! No, you're right because my list is wrong. Rocky is 2.56 or 2.562.
Okay, so it's the same as
So
Rocky.
it's the same as Rocky. So it's tied.
Oh, that's the one I said is the 3.75. I was like, Rocky's more enjoyable than this one.
Yeah, so it's hovering in the 25 spot with Rocky at 2.5 6.2. Clueless is worse at 2.75. 300, V for Vendetta, and The Ring are all at 3. And then above it, we've got The Greatest Showman at 2.375 and
dang,
Grease
The Ring
at
is good.
2.458.
Do you want to know why The Ring is good?
V for Vendetta should have been a better movie, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like too. Do you know why The Ring is so good?
No, I don't. 'Cause
Brian-
it was dog shit.
Brian Cox is in it. Brian Cox is in
Halloween
it.
is worse
Call
than
back.
Rain? God, how is that possible?
All right, if you enjoyed our review or a fan of the podcast, we ask that you please subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. You can also find us on Instagram at The Gentleman Podcast or visit our website at thegentlemanpodcast.com. Or if you want to, we'd love to hear from you. Suggest movies, disagree with Brandon at hosts with an S
Bring
at
it on, please.
thegentlemanpodcast.com. What Jeremiah do we have on tap?
Before we
coming up?
do that, actually, I just want to give a shout out to all our new listeners over at Overcast podcast. Thank you guys for actually like tuning in. It's pretty awesome. And you know what? Just again, just share us just with one of your friends, and one, it always counts. So I believe we're going to keep going with our 80s movies, right? So
Yeah.
this
Whose
is-
selection is next?
I believe this is going to be Eddie's selection. But you know, this is going to be like a brother selection because I'm on his side on this one, yo.
Sean, will you be my brother?
On this one, I think
I think
This
we
is
will
going to
be
be so hardcore.
Be ready.
Goonies never say die.
Goonies never say die.
Goonies never say
Yeah.
watch. Okay.
How dare you? You're not going to get the last word on that one.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers. Stick around.
Is that our best one?
Not even close.
Yeah, Halloween was way better.
I will watch T2. I will happily enjoy T2, I'm sure. 4? A 4. I mean, you know why?